It's an absolutely pleasure to welcome everybody here today to our first event. One thing that we are going to have to remember is that this event is super big because we have this partnership. Awesome. So let's go into today's session, and I'm going to get to Jen and Avesha to introduce the panelists and take from here.
I'm Jen. I run a network for women in project management. Whether you're a project manager, a BA, a change manager, architect, we all go through the same pain points.
Hello everyone, it's lovely to see you all. My name's Navasha and I am the Portfolio Director for Special Events at PMI, Sydney chapter.
Hi everybody, so I'm Lata Hamilton. I always feel a little bit like a wolf in sheep's clothing when I come to project management events, but Women in Projects is very welcoming, and I've been going to the events now for a while actually. So I'm a change manager, and I really love sort of, I guess, bringing some of that, the energy and exactly what you were talking about around stakeholder engagement and really switching on hearts and minds through change and through the change process. So I have my own change management consultancy, Passion Pioneers, and I also love helping women carve their own paths for change in career, leadership and life. So I do a lot of practical change management courses and masterclasses and webinars and things like that. And really that intersection, I think it is, between our career and our personal life and the transformation that we can get in both when we are able to find that confidence within and help our counterparts and our colleagues and just everybody in our community to reach whatever goals they have for themselves.
I'm Tran. Most of you probably know me by I'm the current Vice President and Secretary of the PMI Sydney chapter, similar to Julia. Oh, she's over there. No. I've been around with the Sydney chapter for probably the last 15 years, volunteering with this chapter across different various roles. So it's been an amazing organisation to be part of and to be able to give back to the Sydney community and do what we can to support the professionals in projects as a whole. It doesn't matter, like what Jen said, like what role or title you are. In some shape or form, building the project management skills you have can take you way beyond just a title of a project manager. So I truly, wholeheartedly believe in that and what I do. So that's my, I'll say, night weekend type of job for PMI. My actual day job where I do get paid, now I'll talk about that. I'm a customer success partner currently, but I've been in the world of projects and program management for the last probably 17, 18 years. So most of my career has always been in retail, technology or supply chain, so very, very heavily, I'll say, male-dominated industry. Most of the time when I'm sitting in a meeting, I'll be honest, like I'm the only woman in the room. And a lot of the conversation we have, it's always been very interesting discussion, let's just say that.
But I also have a long-standing history with PMI Sydney and PMI Global. So I have been around attending events like this with PMI since probably around 2008. I don't want to say that out loud, but that's okay. And, I've had moments where I've been actively involved in the committees and in events. Julia and I were part of the committee that put together the PMI Australia conference in 2013, the first of the amalgamated conference. And I've got a long-standing history where I've sort of come and gone from different things, but I've always made sure that I've kept my network within PMI as part of my foundation. So there's a number of people around the room. We've got a superhero here, Sharon, in the change space, and Sharon and I have a history as well. So the connections you make at these types of events stay for life.
My name is Anna. I work here at ACOM as a project manager, and I'm gonna give you a long list that you will understand later why I'm giving you that list. So I have a master's in engineering from Spain. I have a master's in project management from the UK. I am a chartered member of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors and also from the Institution of Civil Engineering Surveyors. and I am a member of the Association for Project Management. My job as a project manager, so I've been leading major projects in the UK, in Hong Kong, and here in Australia. I also have experience in Spain and in Brazil. And I think that has given me some insight into how culture affects projects, how cultures affect, especially in the construction industry, design, procurement, and construction processes. And I would say I'm a person that is driven by challenges because they push me to improve my skill, my knowledge, and my experience.
So we'll kick off with a nice gentle one. If your current project was a movie, what would it be and what would its genre be? And Lata, you get to go first.
It is a very funny question, and I don't know why, but the first movie that popped into my head was Miss Congeniality. And I watched that like recently, and I was like, it didn't age. Like, it actually is still a really good movie even today. And it was actually really fitting, I guess, why it kind of popped into my head with a consulting client of mine and working on an office refurbishment. So complete makeover. No high heels involved though. So I am doing that, and then also in my business side, so in the work that I do, from like a content and training perspective, I'm doing my Change Tools Masterclass at the moment, and I think about that in that way too, where I'm trying to almost like make over sometimes the change management industry and how people learn change and democratize it and get it into the hands of as many leaders and practitioners and people as possible. And I think about it as well in terms of being that sort of that style and substance together. So not favouring one over the other, and actually making sure that whatever we do has got a really strong foundation to it. But then also, I have to admit, like a lot of times I'll be making things look good for my clients or for my students and my community, and bringing things to life in a way that's inspiring and empowering and with a lot of heart as well to it. So I guess my genre would be a makeover, romantic comedy makeover, and obviously the lead would be Sandra Bullock because she's amazing and I love her to pieces.
I'll say my genre is drama. Unfortunately, I don't know why it follows me with whatever projects I'm running. It doesn't matter which programs that's happening, whether that is a retail transformation where we're trying to put in a new solution for stores, managers and users, or whether it's a warehouse commissioning programs. Drama follows me, and there's always some sort of issue or challenge that you face along the whole journey. I think we were chatting about this earlier in the break, and it's strange, as project leaders, you are sort of, just uniquely so drawn to drama, and I actually don't like drama. But I find it that I remember having this conversation with my mentor, and they're like, you think drama follows you, but the reason why you always get, you think you got dumped with this project that's in red and it's always really bloody red, is the fact that you're, problem solver, you take responsibility, you know how to bring together people who are on different paths, and even though I don't think about it when you're actually running the various programs, and there's so much things happening in these streams of work within the programs, whether that be people management, whether there'll be there's an issue with the budget or the business case, what I found is that it's our ability to have the empathy and to drive this along the journey. And it doesn't matter how many projects you're running at the same time or whatever mini projects that's happening within that program work, the ability to actually organise your chaos that you see, to the outside world, is just drama and chaos. But I guess in our mind as a project leader, you sort of put the pieces in the puzzle together slowly, right? And that step by step and actually understanding and realising where the pieces of puzzle comes together is quite critical. So the movie I was thinking of that popped into my mind was really I don't know if you all seen it, but Everyone, Everywhere, All at Once by Michelle. So it almost feels like a multiverse in terms of the programs I work on. And like I mentioned earlier, being involved in PMI, add that to the mix as well. So trying to juggle all the different universes of the project programs of work and the PMI, and we know those involved with PMI, how much involvement that takes and effort. Juggling that, it's not easy. And in that movie, if you've seen it, her ability to eventually get to an organised state does take some time. And I feel like I'm always in that state, trying to do that despite whichever programs that I'm running at that point in time.
But the one that I found easiest to describe to you was Lord of the Rings. Now, if any of you are actually aware of Lord of the Rings, it does take a fellowship. It does take coming together and using many capabilities, many skill sets, many minds to be able to reach an outcome or to overcome evil. This program that I'm currently looking at is a remediation piece of work. I've joined this remediation after more than 2.5 years of it running wrong. So when you talk about really bloody red, I don't even think red sits on the scale of this one. So, and you know, to Mai's point, we exist, our roles exist, whether you're a project manager, a change manager, whatever, our roles exist because problems exist, right? So whether it's people problems, delivery problems, whatever it is, that's why we exist. If we didn't have problems, we wouldn't be in these roles, right? So it's really about how you use your skill set to deliver across achieving the outcomes that are needed. So the other components of Lord of the Rings that I thought was fascinating, the parallels that I could draw to the program that I'm working on, is that we do face challenges every single day. We both have to keep a strategic outlook, but also look at a tactical response to how we're progressing. And, you know, the path that we might have planned or mapped may no longer be available because there's roadblocks or there's challenges that have been put in place that send us down a different path. So the path to get to our outcome is not always linear or straight. Sometimes it takes an extra day or two, or maybe a month or two, and we have to weave our way to get there. We do have to keep our eye over our shoulder and look out for the Eye of Sauron, and it's actually really topical that the sun is setting at the moment, and I feel like it's the Eye of Sauron looking at me, and really like just making sure that we don't allow the problems and the challenges to break us apart.
I would say my movie would be Mission Impossible. All of them seem impossible tasks in my project. In this one, in the previous one, projects find me. I don't find projects find me. When they are at a point that everything needs to be resolved at the same time and we don't know where anything comes from. So yeah, I would say that is my movie. And definitely I would be the leader. I would be Tom Cruise, who uses,
Save the day.
Exactly. Quick thinking, and especially what I like, using the team to resolve all these challenges, and in the end, what it seemed an impossible mission, it has a resolution. So I think that would be it.
Thank you. My question is for Joe. Previously, you talked about selling your value in the workplace, and we do know that treading your career path on your own is hard enough as it is, but a lot of the times opportunities are, the real great opportunities are not advertised. You can't jump on seek.com to, find that opportunities that are hidden somewhere. So what do you think is the best approach to carve out those hidden opportunities and sell your value in through an avenue that actually works?
I think something that one of my mentors taught me along the way was to learn how to build your personal brand and understand your personal brand, right? With that comes what value do you bring and what value you create, and then your foundations that support that. I think when we quite often in companies look at the brand of a company, right? But we don't often look at the brand of a person. Now, I'm not a label kind of person. I don't go around labeling everyone. But I think it's really important that when you start looking at your story to tell, you understand the brand you're wanting to position and understanding almost the marketing side of that in relation to how you build that brand. The second aspect of your question, I would surround myself with people that will talk to the hilltops about your capability and your experience to anyone in the room. I would reduce the amount of people that would diminish that. That's the second thing that I would do. The third thing that I do is I would build networks and I would leverage my networks. And when I say that, I don't mean about my next opportunity, but about my learning, my development, my exposure, right? And you know, there's a sales pitch type technique that's been around for many years. How do you sum up what you do in 30 seconds, because you know everyone's attention span's quite small, right? So how do you sell the most value in those 4 or 5 key points that you want to put across the line? Looking at yourself and considering yourself as and your value as a brand helps you break that down and then provides a story to tell around that. So they're the things that I would do. And the other thing that I would do is ask people, talk to people. Yep. Always seek feedback.
I'm hoping everybody has taken a challenge today, that at least by the end of this year, I think there was a Christmas party on the 27th.
There was a Christmas
Yes.
party on the 27th.
So I will be asking what have each of you have done in terms of accelerating your career, and all the speakers, the panelists have just said mentor, mentee, all those nice points. So if I do see you on that day, just know you need to answer this question. I'd like to say a good applause for our panelists and thank you.